How do we know this? You talk about divine information or science. The Torah doesn't ask you to believe. It commands you to know because it gives you the information to go by. The word for science in Hebrew is meda'ah. Mem, dalet, ayin. The root is da, or da'at, to know. Just like in science, it means to know. In Hebrew, it means to know. God is not asking you just to believe, because belief is important. How can we verify or demonstrate how important belief is? Abraham would not have passed his 10th and final test without belief. Why? God told Abraham, take thy son, thine only son, and offer him up upon the mountain that I shall tell you. Abraham said, Tom, I know God will deal with human sacrifice. In fact, he teaches against it. I'm supposed to offer my only son, Isaac? Wait, hold on. Ishmael's my first son, so you diss me too? Damn. But he doesn't. He goes upon the mountain, which God showed him, tells his servants to come down, tells Isaac to come out. This demonstrates something powerful about Isaac, by the way. Do you know that Isaac was not a child when this happened? When you check out the timeline, Isaac was an adult. He was in his 20s or 30s. There's a variant between whether we know for certain if he was in his 20s or his 30s, but we know for a fact he was between the ages of his 20s and 30s. He was an adult. He knew what was going to happen. What man do you know, age 20 or 30, will go up on a mountain with his father, lay down on a block of wood that you know is about to be set on fire after your throat is cut? That demonstrated something unique about Yitzchak, Isaac. What is an extremely disciplined person coming from an instructor in the world of boxing? If you are extremely disciplined, you are extremely what? Strong. Because according to the Torah, he who practices restraint is greater than he who conquers a city. Restraint. Don't you think every fiber of Isaac's soul wanted to say, you bugging? You're going to kill me because you're hearing thoughts in your head, God speaking to you? Because mind you, by the way, by definition, that's what we would call prophecy here. A prophet hears things from God and then acts upon it, right? In modern science, what would you be deemed as? Cuckoo! Check out what Isaac has to now reason to himself. Isaac now has to say, is this a cuckoo message or is this prophecy? Because I also know that God will deal with human sacrifice. So what do you do? Did he once question him? The book records when things are questioned. Did Isaac once question him according to the Torah? No. Isaac was extremely disciplined. Hence, when you go in the book of Genesis, I believe 31 through 33, one of those chapters, when Yaakov is praying, he prays by the dread of Yitzchak. He says by the dread of Yitzchak, which in Hebrew is pachad, by the fear of Isaac. Why did he describe Isaac with such a manner? Because of the discipline that he had in order to do what he did. But getting back to Abraham exemplifying faith and how powerful faith is as opposed to knowing. Abraham now had to decide whether or not I'm going to do something that I know God's law does not allow. God's law does not allow the shedding of human blood. It does not. The Torah says it. What we brought on the altar is animal sacrifices, not human beings. The Torah is replete with statements everywhere, which shows you that when a sacrifice is made before God, it's done by way of animals, not human beings. The Torah condemns human sacrifice. And the Torah is pro-animal sacrifice. Because at the end of the day, it's the Creator who gives life. Okay? Right. Follow me. So Abraham now puts the knife to his son's neck. He starts here. And right when he takes that knife to cut and peel back that jugular, the Torah says, Abraham, Abraham, touch not the lad, for now I know that you do what? Fear God. Question, God is omniscient. He's the all-knowing one. Did he really now realize? God knows what you do before you do it. So when God tells you to do something that involves a spiritual awakening, it's for you to come to a realization. So when God commands you to do something that you don't know the outcome of, it's for you to realize how strong you are. God already knows if you are going to fall or rise. He knew Abraham was going to pass all flying tests. The test wasn't for God to know whether or not Abraham was going to serve him or not. It's for you to be sure in your ability to serve God that God puts you through tests, because God knows whether or not ultimately you are going to fail. This is for you to come to a realization about it. Okay? So right when Abraham put the knife to his neck, which is the point where Abraham divorced himself from logic and married faith. Why? God wanted to know, and this is the greatest test God ever gave any human being, by the way. God wanted to know, Abraham, would you serve me to the point where it defies everything you think you know and do something just because I said it? That's powerful. I want you to think about it as I'm going to say it again. God wanted to know from Abraham, would you serve me just because you can logically reason and deduce why something is right? Or you will serve me just because I am telling you to do it and you trusting that no matter what I say, even if it divorces everything you think you know, even about me, you're going to do it just because it comes from me. That's what made Abraham the friend of God, the apple of his eye. Look unto Abraham, the rock from whence you are healed. That's what made Abraham the father of many nations. He was willing to divorce himself from logic and marry faith because he realized that ultimately serving God means going beyond what is humanly conceivable or physically possible. If you don't enter the spirit, you will become obsolete in the presence or servitude of God. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I want to close out and give the other speaker his